Great stuff. So maybe we can start by you giving me a 2-minute overview of who you are. 2 minutes of, is it Carmine?
Carmine.
Carmine.
Actually, you said it right. You did in Italy, you would say Carmine, but in the United States, we just say Carmine. But Carmine is more like how it would be if I was in Italy. So that's pretty cool.
In Italy. Okay, I was saying it in a French way. I think like Carmine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So 2 minutes of you, and you can talk about anything you want, like whatever you think is important to get an overview of your life and yourself.
In 2 minutes? Yeah.
Can also be 3 or 5.
Yeah. No, I usually don't actually talk about a lot. I like to interact more. So if you have questions, because I usually just explain things vaguely, kind of. So if you need more, just pull it out. But so I'm 29 years old, and I have a wife and a son. I'm currently an administrator at a healthcare facility, but so it's my dad's business that he kind of took over, or he basically started running when I was 14. And I took it over maybe 3 years ago, running it. But before that, I was running a landscaping company and construction company. So I also went to college when I was running my business for horticulture. I never fully finished that, but I was in college when COVID hit, but I won't go back right now because I don't want to wear a mask in college. So when they take that off, I'll probably end up back in college, just sitting in class for hours with a mask isn't something I would want to do. Before that, I was a mechanic, and I went to trade school, which I did finish trade school for automotive technician. And I worked at a couple dealerships, and then before that I was kind of just drifting, because I was out of high school, and I went right to college, but then I dropped out. So I'm kind of going back in order for you, and that's kind of, and when I was drifting, my buddy was like, "Oh, he's going to school for automotive," and then I just went for that because I figured I had to do something with my life. So I just did that, and then I didn't like being in a garage all day, so I said I was going to open my own business, which I had also did when I was 15 or 16 years old. I had a truck, so I just opened a business and had my buddy work for me, but that only lasted for a couple of weeks. And but now I'm 14, and that's when my dad and my mom opened their healthcare business. Can you hear me?
Yes, you were cutting out, but I heard all the words.
Okay, so yeah, that was when my mom and dad bought their healthcare businesses, and my dad. The reason that I was able to get into construction and stuff was because when he had with the buildings, he made me do the maintenance and things like that. Even though I didn't like doing it, but that's what he made me do. So that was basically through my high school years, and I also wrestled in high school and played football. But yeah, I shouldn't have played football. I should have just wrestled, but that's what it is.
Great stuff. Cool. Yeah, I will follow up on a lot of what you said there. But first, I want to ask you the question you probably already know. Not probably, that you already know. What is it that you love to do? And when I say what it is that you love to do, what I mean is, what do you love to do so much? The only reason you stop is exhaustion. Otherwise, you could do it forever.
All right. So I've thought about this question before, and what it really, okay. I haven't pinpointed it down because it's more I'll be honest, if I want to do, if I go through these phases where if this is on my task of things to do, I will do that until I get to that point. Almost everything. If it's I'd rather go to I don't want to stop whatever I'm working on so I'd rather even like if I fell asleep, that's the thing I'm working on when I wake up. I would like skip. I would literally skip breakfast to continue working on that if I fell asleep. You know what I mean? Or like, except like there's like sometimes like I love playing video games, but I would hate to put my lifestyle like that. You know what I mean? I would like I only play video games at night, you know, for like a few hours. Where it's like I want to do that, but like anything like that seems productive, I would want it to be a consistent flow into that, because usually it's like I know what I want to do and I just flow into that productive thing. Because like I said, I went from like a lot of different areas, so it's not like I love something about each of those areas. Do you know what I mean?
I do, yes. Yes. Yeah, as you were talking, the word momentum came up for me. Is that something that is important to you? Like you could, like if I heard you correctly, it's like you could get lost in almost any task as long, like if it's productive.
Okay. No, that's not true. No, it's specific. It's got to be like, okay, it could be something that's just like all right. So even pool, when I started learning, well, like I've always played pool, but I never took it seriously. When I took over my healthcare as the administrator, we have to do recreation. So I was like, how can we do that? We implemented pool with the residents, right? And I really started to play with them daily. So I was like, really just naturally started to like understand how to play pool and things, and like teaching them how to play pool. So then like I made it like a big part of my lifestyle. I ended up joining a league and things like that. But then I ended up like, and like, so that's kind of what I mean. It's more like, so then I practiced pool every single day until I got like really, really good. And I was on a league and doing really good. And then I just stopped. I didn't really like it anymore because I was like, I was good. And I still play pool, but not like that so much. You know what I mean? Like, and then even with my business, like we would build patios. And like I would want, and I like that because it was more like you start here and you end here, and you get, before that you like design everything. So I like that flow of like, okay, we're starting with the design, we're getting right to way on the work. But like if we broke up in between, like if things broke up, it was hard to get back into that because like you didn't have like a building block in the way. And I mean, we did it, but like, and then, you know, at the same time, that like usually that leads to burnout for me. I burnt out like a few times. Like I will let myself, but like I know it's happening too, because like I feel like in wrestling, it was the objective to burn yourself out in practice and things like that. That's kind of what and I was like, and like cut weight. And so like in high school, even like I would, because I wanted to be like the best wrestler and things like that. Like I went to the morning workouts with the school, then I would go to school and then do wrestling practice. And like, and I like that because like that was 5 days a week doing that. And then like I would crash afterwards once like everything was done, you know what I mean? And I was okay with that because it seemed like there was a lot of build up to that too. You know what I mean? Like I was always like, and by the time it was, what else? Yeah. So like anything I get into, I really get into. It's not like even MBTI, like I like to read something in the morning, again at night. And then like when I wake up, I'll have better thoughts, you know what I mean, about it. I like to, so like if I'm learning something, it's like I'm dedicated. When I learned horticulture, like I knew every single tree there is, like up to like 200 species, like Latin name and everything. Like it's like, and like now I know the major ones. I don't know every single one, but I know the important ones, the ones that are local to my area and things like that, you know. But like I'm not in horticulture as much. I still like to go out and do some gardening and things once in a while, but now because I burnt out in my business, and I realized like I was always like escaping that eventually. Like I would let myself do that over and over and over again because like it made money. I was like, you know, that, but like I would always like come home and just want to like I would like, I don't know, I think I didn't scale right or something. I don't know. But okay, where do we need to go from here? Because I don't know what you need to do. Because I'm trying to explain.
Perfect. It's like stream of consciousness almost.
yeah, that's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I was wondering, so you already answered like the part of how it stops, like a lot of the like it stops when you get burnt out. I wonder,
Or
is there
I
also an, sorry?
Or I feel like, because like in wrestling, I probably would have went to college for it, but I didn't get into college because I didn't care about my grades. All I cared about was wrestling, really. But I don't know. And then like, I didn't get into a college. So, well, a college that like had a wrestling team, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. Is there also an element of boredom, like once you've mastered a skill, or could you go like once you mastered that, you want to move on to the next thing?
There's also like this thing, like with my business where like, yeah, like I always wanted to know every part of my business. I never wanted to be the person like bought out a business. Like I could have done that, you know what I mean? Like with lawn mowing and things like that, you can buy accounts, but I didn't want to be like that because I always said like you have to build up from the ground. Like to really understand what's going on a fundamental level of your business, you have to build up, no matter what business it is. If you want to learn how to give financial advice, you should really be doing that yourself, you know, to learn where your errors are and things like that. So that's what how I always thought. I was like, yeah, I wanted to be that person. And then I wanted to be able to delegate that way, like because I didn't want to, like I always saw like people who would delegate and they don't know what they're talking about. And I think being in the automotive industry really let you see that because they do have that chain of command where a technician and then a salesperson, and the salesperson who rushes for the job, but like that's not how fixing a car really works, you know, but that's in every industry. So I wanted to be like able to, if I corrected somebody, I wanted to make sure that that was right, you know, or like told them like this was what is expected. I would want to make sure that it's based on the true, like this is how this job is. It's like, but I always knew I wasn't going to like stay in one industry or anything. Like since I was like a little kid, like I was learning, like I went to when I was like, and it was really when my parents bought their business that I started like realizing like because they were kind of poor before, and like it kind of like it showed me like how they could grow. So I was like, oh, it is like possible and stuff like to grow. So I think when they did that, that was kind of when I was like, oh, I should really be or I should like I took accounting classes and I took business management classes and all those kind of things early in high school. So like I was always set with that. And then like I went to school for horticulture, thinking I was going to like more learn about my business. And then I ended up just loving the horticulture aspect because the business aspect was already in my head. Like I've watched that since I was a young person. You know what I mean? Like I don't really need much. Like, yeah, there's things that like I can go in and learn deeply, but like as far as the general of it that college would give you, it's like I don't really need that business part so much, you know? It's like so I fell in love with horticulture, and then psychology. I went to school, like I took psychology classes. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go for psychology. And I just and like I do have kind of a long-term plan, but I don't know. It's like I don't remember where I was going with that. I just remember that like I changed because I saw my parents grow, and it was like, oh, okay, I can grow too. Everybody can grow. Like,
Yeah, tell me about the kind of having a long-term plan. Like, what's that like? Like, is it like if I'd ask you, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Would that be like, do you have like a clear vision of how that would look like? Or is it more like,
no, I don't really put a timeline on it though. That's the truth. Is like it's more like I have this vision of what where I want, like the kind of place I want to live. Like the fact that I want a business that is like that's what was always like the thing is I didn't want a business that was so focused. Like I didn't want to go open a mechanic shop because it was kind of boring for me. It was like I would want a business where like you had a mechanic shop there to fix your employees' stuff more so. Like not, I would want to like innovate like business in that kind of way, or like, but like I'm also in healthcare, so I kind of see it that way. Like, you know, there's other ways to help people too, and like, I don't know.
Mhm. You mentioned delegating. Is that something that comes naturally to you? Or is it more difficult?
I don't like to tell people what to do, really. Like but I'm not scared. Like if I think if it's like this needs to be said, or like if there needs to be somebody in command, like I'm like, or like in charge, or however you want to put it, like I'm not afraid to do that really at all. Like it's like, and I am an administrator, but like like I see it more like as I do delegate, but it's not, I don't direct in any way. It's more like we sit around and talk and determine like the best way to approach something. I have my a manager underneath me who we talk to, and we talk more consistently, so she can kind of be in between, because I don't know, I do get a little annoyed with being too one-on-one with people. But I have no problem doing it if I know it's coming, if I'm going to be doing it, like a staff meeting. Or even checking in, I don't mind doing that, but it's more I don't know, in healthcare it's a little different than what I like. Even it was more it was an opportunity for me to do take, so I kind of took it, but I don't really want to stay so much in healthcare. You know what I mean? But I do like the idea of innovating, and I've done a lot of stuff there. I don't know, I've been pretty successful there. It's because we get evaluated by the state and things like that, and I've done a good job. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is the most difficult thing in business for you?
When I really have to take things very seriously, when I learn something and it becomes part of a business, it's it takes the fun out of it, kind of yeah, it does, but it's a necessity. So I try to find that's what I'm trying to do right now, is find that balance between the necessities and the freedom. But I can't work for somebody. It's just a known thing. I don't do good with anybody and leading above. It's kind of and it's not even that I get along with people, but I can't be told what to do. It's just
Mm-hmm.
Or have anything ever held over my head by a boss, because I've been through that, and it's I don't know. That's why I wanted any business I run, I want it to be rewarding for the people who work there, kind of too, and I think there's ways to systemize that, make sure, before I even learned about typology and things like that, that was what I was noticing, was there's everybody wants a different reward. It's not always about the money. It's not always about the time worked. It's about for some people it's the environment and things like that. So I don't know, that's that.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that you are aware of the resources, how to who's good at what, and who has a good skill for a certain position?
Yeah, that's honestly that's, yeah, even if I don't, I pick up on that too. If I think somebody's going to be good at something, and then I realize oh, that was kind of show. I quickly realize, I end up realizing that too. And it kind of you do see that's kind of how I interviewed people too. Is certain questions that when I interviewed would be more so showing those kind of things, especially in construction. In healthcare, it's a little different, because healthcare is a little bit more consistent. Do you know what I mean? It's where in construction there are a lot more roles to fill. It's not we're in healthcare, a lot of caregivers, the caregiver role, where in construction you have a lot more safety and things, and chains of command and stuff like that. So you really want to watch the dynamics and things. Yeah, I would say, you know what, but in that kind of business, there was the problem with retaining employees too. That was always a problem with trying to keep things so systemized, is you have to retrain. And then like you're trying to build a training team, but then you like, it's, especially in construction, it is like more circulated, unless you decide to like unionize and things like that. But who wants like to be controlled that much? You know what I mean? That's what I mean. I don't want to be controlled by a union or anything like that.
I wrote down annoyed with the one-on-one. Can you say more about that? Like, what is the annoyance about?
Wait, what was that?
I said I wrote down like annoyed with the one-on-one. That sounded interesting to me. You said that earlier in the context of like, I think it was telling people what to do. Like,
yeah, oh yeah, I don't want to be. I won't micromanage. I refuse to micromanage. Like it's not something I would do. I would replace somebody before I micromanage them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying at first. I'm really down for like even weeks of training and like really being one-on-one with somebody. But like at the same time, I think a lot of it is that me, like I can get obviously I can get excited teaching somebody, so it kind of deflects from like my business, and that's really like kind of like I guess important to me. Like so, like if I'm taking up all the time getting excited about teaching, then there's a problem too. You know what I mean? Because like I never get mad at somebody for not knowing what to do. It's more so then eventually I just realize like it is slowing things down. You know, like because like comes a time when everybody doesn't know what to do, but like then you have to realize how often is this? Is this happening every single day, or is it like, okay, this person needs to be explained something the first time, maybe a second time, or you know what I mean? There's some people who just don't want to learn, so they don't pick up the important things that there are to learn. And that kind of was, so you asked what was my biggest struggle. I would say like, you break it down, like something like that in business, like, but like, I don't know. Then I don't really see it like a struggle. I just know it's there. It's more like, okay, that's kind of why this system it's something I want to bring into business too. I think that's like a cool thing to do too. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why like I've spent years learning about it now. I don't know. I feel like I can spend a lot more time learning even more because like I'm 29 and life's like pretty long when you really think.
Yes. I want to know if you feel like in that context, is it ever frustrating to you? Like, are people sometimes slowing you down in like when you want to achieve something?
Yeah, like that's the thing is like I don't want to micromanage, but like at the same time you need to find people who can do that appropriately too. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, yeah, you do really get slowed down. Okay, oh, I don't offend you or anything like that because I don't know where you're from, but like when you look at like Putin and the Ukraine war and things like that, and like he's not a micromanager, but he should have micromanagers over his troops. You know what I mean? And like they don't really, like, at least that's what they're saying. We don't really know, but like. And like I understand that like you really do have to have somebody in control, and it's hard to find people who are willing to take that kind of leadership position. I actually have, but then like those people are, there's no like, I feel like you have to be really smart to see the way that systems really work in a way. Like when you look at how corporations and things really work, and we're like, and like people who are good at that at the same time don't necessarily appreciate the team part of that is needed. Do you know what I mean? So there's like this dilemma right there, and I always tried to put people in empowered positions. You know what I mean? But then like absolute power corrupts absolutely. So like then I have to micromanage in a different part. You know what I mean? Or figure something out. Depends on what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How would you describe your relationship with patients?
Okay, you mean my like patients, like because I have patients like in the healthcare, like
so. Yeah, that happened to me in sessions before. Yeah, like I mean, are you a patient person? is a more straightforward way to say it. Yes, patience, patience. That happened like at least 2 times before in sessions for me, that word.
Oh yeah, that's um patience. It depends. Like I mean, for a lot of things I can be pretty patient, and then like if I don't, if I have to do, I become impatient if it becomes like repetitive in a way, like and in what way also like, and what like, because we're talking about patience to, because I think it takes patience to fulfill certain jobs. Like building a patio takes a lot of patience, you know, laying each brick and all that. That's like patience. But then there's also like the patience of like my general patience. Do you know what I mean? Are you looking for? Because I mean, it generally, I have to teach myself to be patient when I'm actually like doing the work that I'm doing. Like if like when like you know I said like I like build from like the ground up. When I'm learning to do those jobs, like that's a lot of that is more so like to get through it. It's like I'm learning to be patient. I'm learning to be productive, and then I like there's certain things at the end of those that I liked about it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's more like, and at the same time, it's but that's more so like after I learned to do the job, because there's also like the patience of being willing to learn how to do a certain task. You know, so it all depends on where you are at the stage, I guess. And like sometimes you get to the end, or you get like maybe 3/4 and you lose patience, you know what I mean? Like because you're so close but so far away.
Mhm, mhm. You mentioned repetitive tasks. I want to ask about, I mean, you already mentioned it, but like it sounds like desk jobs wouldn't be like your ideal work. You mentioned the garage earlier. Is that true? Like,
No, like that's actually like what I was trying to like, I like to be able to go from like a desk to like the work in a way. Like I like to be a hopper kind of like, and I'll sit like I'll do a lot of work at my desk. Usually like I'm like I build Excel sheets, and then like and then like I'll go over it with, like I said, I had the manager, and then like well if there's something that doesn't, like that's the thing, my business doesn't really require a lot of hands-on now. Like I've incorporated a lot of systems, but like and that's why I don't know, maybe that's why like my work right now is like really boring kind of to me. It really is. um but no, I don't know, because I like to do things. It's um I just like all right, let me show you. Okay, so let me explain. So like I have my lawn care business, right? And what my goal was to like build that up and then be able to like go to more construction, right? And like by having employees there. So I didn't have to do the lawn mowing. And then like be able to go lawn mow whenever I want, like in a way, like because I still enjoy that. And like there's like a lot more complex than it seems. Yeah, there's been like weed whacking at like different ways. So it's like fun to do, but I really wanted to like continue growing the business, and then be able to like go do that like on a Saturday, go do like the certain things while the basic ones were already getting done in a way. Just because like I didn't want to lose that part in a way, because that was like interesting to me. Like, and at the same time, like the whole point was like to just learn how to like do basic things that I would need for the rest of my life. Like that's why I went to like automotive and like learned construction, and like I basically renovated my house and just sold it. Well, we're selling it right now because like I was going to school, learning all these kind of concepts and how to do it, and then doing it, learning those, and then just doing it on my own. Like, and yeah, like I said, there was always like a little plan to where things are going to go. It's just not on a timeline. It's like, if I find something interesting, I'm going to go with that, you know? Because like, if there really was a plan like that was on a timeline, I would be doing things a lot different. And I know that. Like, I would be running my business like I was, like, instead of getting into psychology and stuff, because I was making the money I needed to, you know, where like now it's like, you know, I can hold off on the money because I have those skills if I need them later, which I will when I want to be able to help my son grow a business. I help my wife grow her business, like help her open her things. So it's like, and I convinced her to do that. Like, it was like, it's time for you to open a business. Like, because I just know when somebody could be a good business owner. I really do. It's like, when I was 7, I was the one who told my parents they had to be business owners. Like,
Wow, that is quite early.
yeah, like, but that was because their boss I went to school with, his kid, and his kid told me that his dad could fire my dad.
Wow. Yeah, I want to hear a bit more about like, how is it to work with for your parents?
It's gotten a lot better. Me and my dad butt heads daily, like, but we also like conversate daily. Like, it's kind of like unconditional love, so we can fight all we want, kind of, and it's just, it is what it is. But like, sometimes it gets pretty bad. But like, I don't know. Um, and my mom doesn't really work in their business now. She started with my dad in their business, and then she opened her own, and now she's pretty much retired. So I don't really work with her much. She worked with my other siblings, but they're a little older too. So
Cool. Okay, let me think in which direction. Oh yes, I want to ask you about your relationship to your own emotions. How would you describe that?
like, I don't know them. That's just like, I know they're there, but like, I don't know. Like, it's not like, you know how like, if you really hold strong emotions, like you would like hold a grudge, right? Like, I can't hold a grudge. Like, I want to sometimes because I know it's important, but it's like, no, I don't really care enough about that to hold a grudge about that. And I also feel like that was like part of the problem with the, like, being able to delegate to people. Like, you have to really care about that thing in that kind of way to be able to delegate that task, you know? But like, I know like for my son and my wife, like there's unconditional love, but like that's like there. But like outside of that kind of stuff, it's like, I don't hold it like, I don't know. I don't really like hold it like that. I know I can get excited and things like that, and like look like I'm emotional, but I'm not so much. It's more, I don't know. It is excited, but it's not emotional. Like, it's not. It's more like interest, I would say. You know, like
What was that?
almost similar to like, well, I guess,
You cut out there. What was
oh,
that?
it's more like
Interesting?
interested, yeah. And like you can see that in me sometimes, without it. But like, I wouldn't say like I get emotional. Yeah, I know. And I don't really know, like if I do, like I don't, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
How about when people around you get emotional? What is your reaction to that?
It depends on like why, but like an overly emotional reaction is, my wife even knows, like, I don't like it. We're happy my son doesn't really cry because like it would, like, yeah, it's, I don't know, because like, hey, it wouldn't be that bad, but like more so now, like I would say it's more like when I see people get angry, like, you know, like a Karen, like a Karen, you know, like that would bother me. Like it would be not like, that wouldn't stress me out, but that I would put a lot of judgment on that kind of move. Like I don't really. That's another thing. It's like because that's the same thing with telling people what to do. You know, I would let something like that you would think a Karen would complain about go most of the time. You know, like I wouldn't try to get into somebody's business for that. You know what I mean? Like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like I judge that when somebody gets like that, or like at a restaurant when somebody is rude, you know what I mean? Like that is like, I don't know, maybe because like I work so hard not to do that because I could do that, you know, like that's kind of like your shadow, like, you know, I know I can, and I don't know what that means, like in a way, like, cause like I do know like I can be mean, but it's like if I see something, like I've learned not to just say what I think sometimes, like, you know what I mean? So I feel like in a way that's like working on emotional intelligence in a way, because you have to know that like certain things that you think aren't okay, and like when somebody says what they feel, it's like, you know, you could have thought that through better. That's sometimes, or like, you know, but sometimes like at the same time they're willing to speak up on the important things, like highly emotional people too, you know, and or at least identify what's important to them, I guess.
I wrote down, I want to hear a bit more like what happens when you get burned out, like what is the crash like and how do you get out of it? And how long is it like?
All right, well, it's always a little bit different. Like the thing is, like I said, like because of wrestling, I kind of learned to like do a cycle of burnout in a way, like let yourself burn out and then like replenish for a long period of time and then burn out again. But eventually there's a bigger burnout after all of that too. You know what I mean? And usually that's when, you know, but let me think. I wonder if it's so much more so that like, not like when I'm really like, it's maybe not so much burnout as much as I don't get the motivation to do something because I don't see it going kind of how I want it. So it seems like burnout because it seems like, because I could be riding a wave and then realize, oh, this isn't the wave that I need to be riding. So I will drop down and figure out which wave I should be riding, kind of. Do you know what I mean? And it seems like burnout. And I think a lot of people think I'm burnt out because people go, oh, what's wrong or something. And I'm like, I'm just thinking. And it's like, I'm not burnt out. Just leave me alone. Like I'm, and it takes that could take a long time. That really can. And it's kind of something like I've accepted, I guess, because like I understand that like when I go, I'm gonna go. Like you know what I mean? When I decide not to operate down here, kind of like I'm gonna go that way. And it's kind of what I do. Like and I feel like I'm piecing things together, like before, like what looks like a burnout is me really just figuring out my next plan and then enjoying it in between, where people might think I'm burnt out or angry or depressed or something, but in my head, I'm calculating and having fun and I don't know, like enjoying what I'm learning at the time, you know, and I think people see it like, and maybe I'll put that pressure too, because I know people see me go from like this thing to that thing. And like, a lot of people even thinking because I'm a dad, like, oh, you should be like, you can make money, do it kind of thing. And I'm like, no, because I have different plans than what you think like my plan's gonna be. So like, and it's hard to explain that to people. It really is. And I don't know. It's like people have become more accepting because I am right a lot. Like I'm not gonna lie, like they become more accepting of the way I live because usually I'm usually kind of right. So like, it's not like that so much now where people just think I'm burnt out. They realize I'm just thinking. But like, even as a kid, that was like the thing. Like my mom used to think I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, nothing, just thinking. Like, And they always think, what's wrong with that? So it looks like bad, but
How would you describe your parenting style? And you can take a few seconds. I have to switch on the light, so I'll be back in like 5 or 10 seconds. Just
okay.
It gets a little dark here. So yeah, I'm interested in how you would describe your own parenting style and maybe also how it like differs in comparison to your partner.
Okay. So.
Yes.
All right. So for me, as a parent, my style. All right. Well, my son is only a year and about 2 months now, so 13 months. So it's like it's parenting with a young kid, but like I'm pretty engaged, I would say, like surprisingly like engaged. Like we hang out whenever he's home, kind of, or at least like I make sure I'm home in the morning with him and things like that before he goes to daycare. And like we dance because he likes to dance, like and I don't know, he likes to have fun, so I do whatever he likes to do. He likes to read, like he'll read books. So like before I had a kid, I knew I wanted a kid, and I had already done all the research about like the psychology of kids. So I knew like if he's an introvert, I'm gonna let him be an introvert. If he's an extrovert, I'm gonna let him be an extrovert. It's, you know, but at the same time, I want to make sure that like he doesn't go put a rock in his mouth like he did last week, you know. But at the same time, if he wants to go explore, like pretty much anything. And now, yes, the differences between me and my wife, and one of the biggest differences is that like if she said, like she'll say, oh, like this article says this is what you should do. I'm like, I don't care if that's what the article says. Like it's obviously that's not what he wants to do or what's like going to make him happy, and like why make him miserable because it says he should be taking a nap every whatever, you know what I mean? If he doesn't want a nap because he didn't do anything today, that's fine. Like that's kind of like where we differ, and like we end up coming to some agreement, whatever. But like just because like some article says it doesn't mean like that's the truth, because you can see like it's not making him happy, you know. Like, and then we figure out what does, like what's the specific thing that would.
Cool. I want to go in a completely different direction and ask you, what is something that you think is obvious to you that other people miss? Where you look around in your environment and go like, why are people not getting this? This is obvious to me.
Probably that people should okay, it kind of like to make it simple, we could say like the way we educate people is not very great, I don't think, and the way that we give them these layouts of how they should progress, because they're obviously not always accurate, they're actually very like inaccurate, and then you have people living to those things. And it really would start with like education, and I think more like, you know, like kind of letting parents have like a little like encouraging parents to take more effort into teaching their kids in a way too. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm okay with homeschooling. Like it's something like I'm thinking highly about with my son, because, you know, and like trying to do it where I can have more than just him, you know, like a few kids. So that way it's not like he has no social skills, but at the same time, I can find a way to make sure it's more like suited to what his goals and ambitions are. Because, you know, I really do think, I mean, I was a pretty smart kid, I'm not gonna lie. And, you know, if I didn't, and I had a lot more even motivation when I was like 12 years old, you know what I mean? And if you have those kind of things in place to like let people thrive when they're young, it might help a lot, you know what I mean? Instead of letting people just follow a like already set rubric or guideline kind of thing. Because that was like one of my biggest things growing. Like that was when I had my most struggle, was like until I got out of like school, because I always had a different way of learning, kind of like that's kind of like what I saw. Like I don't know, and I think that's like I think the world would be better if we encouraged that more. Like I really.
How was your learning different?
I was lazy, so I always found an easy way to do things. Like seriously, like or the quick way to like get what I needed done. Like I really kind of was. I don't know that I was lazy. I just think I was like always like okay. And maybe it was just my way of doing things more so maybe than my way of learning. It was like I didn't want to stick to the status quo. When I played football, when you're an offensive lineman, I don't know how much you know about football, American football.
A little bit. I watched the Super Bowl. But
okay, so when you're an offensive lineman, basically, you basically block the defensive lineman like this, right? But I was the smallest offensive lineman in the state when I was a freshman, but they had me play that position because I could snap the ball. So I said, okay, well, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to pancake the person because I knew how to pancake them. And then no one ever got through me because I had my own way of doing it. I was like, and actually at first they told me I couldn't do that until they saw it work. The coach got mad because I was doing it, but it was the only way I was going to be able to block anyone. You know what I mean? And that you don't see in any college football, NFL, anything. It was just something I had to do to make it work. And I was able, and there is a risk to doing it because you could get a penalty if you did it wrong. So I had to figure out how to make sure I did it right every time. But like, and like, I don't know, anything like that. I don't know. People just kind of have always told me that I'm doing a lot more than most other people. So I just assume that's how I learn. It's just like, I'm always dabbling, you know, in everything I like, so.
Cool. And if let's turn the question around, what is something that comes naturally to other people where you struggle with more, where you look around and then go like, this is quite easy for people. I don't know why it's so easy for people.
You know, like, actually, what I noticed is like, because I've like been doing YouTube videos and stuff like that too, is like, I try to come up with like a topic, right? And like narrow in on it. And I can't do that. Like, that's so hard for me to do. Like, to come to some kind of closure, I would say, in that sense, like in my, like my final analysis of something, it's like, because there's so like, I never come to that because it doesn't stop. Do you know what I mean? And like, I see people who could like say, this is this and this is that. And I'm like I can break that one line up into so much more information. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you can't just say this is that, like, it doesn't work like that. It's like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a 3-page slideshow or something. And it ends up being like 27.
There's no end to it. Like, this leads to this, leads to this, leads to this. Cool. Let me see where I want to hear a little bit about, and you can speak freely as you want to. You said you don't want to wear a mask in college. Like, yeah, why not? Like, Yeah, you can talk about anything that comes up in that context, and I will not judge you.
All right. Well, they're actually like, so so I got vaccinated, right? So that's for one, is like, I got vaccinated thinking we weren't going to have to wear masks anymore. So now that's just, it really did, that was actually something that was probably more like emotionally driven. It's like, I got vaccinated because, like, this is the plan. We're going to get vaccinated, and then not everybody had to be, and then we were going to not have to wear masks. And it's like, there's a principle there of like, that's what you said was going to happen. And like, I went along with it. So I really kind of don't want to wear, and I've never liked them. Like, I personally, I've taken care of myself growing up, like, so I didn't like the mask, and I'm okay with other people. I wouldn't make fun of somebody wearing it. They can wear it if they want. But for me, I just don't want to wear it at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I did take the medicine. So, and I think anyone, and working in healthcare, it's the same thing. It's all our residents are vaccinated and things like that. They don't want to wear masks. It's like, you see, like, most of the people who could get sick didn't want to, at least in where I am. And it's like, I don't know, it's control. It's just, and like I said, I don't know, if you want to wear one, wear one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you ever feel like people are stupid?
I try not to. Like, I really do. I try not to feel like that. Like, but okay, and honestly, what I really would say is, like, people have like an ability to know, like, it is much like, so the people who aren't as smart as me, they're more dependable probably. Like, so it's not stupid. It's like they've realized that they may lack somewhere else, so they found another way to fit. You know what I mean? And it's dependability, and they're gonna end up rich probably. Like, they could, So like, yeah, I guess, like, yeah, I don't think people are stupid. I think they can make really bad decisions that make you not really know if they ever had a chance, because they made such a bad decision,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I want to ask you about your favorite ways of helping people. How would you describe that?
I like when somebody has, like, if I'm gonna help you, you have to be motivated towards it. Like, that's pretty much, if you're motivated towards it, I'm willing to help you. It's like I can help people like a lot with like most things that people would do in a way. Like, as far as like advice, or like, how should this be done, or even like coming up with designs for something, or a way to work with my wife, how she's going to like work with her employees and stuff. But like, it's more like the way how like she's going to do most of that, like, in the implementing of it, you know what I mean? But like, getting to there, and even my dad, like, helping him to realize like what's actually important to look at, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, and like, but that's like not always been like what it was. Like, I actually didn't like helping people that much at one time. Like, it was more like there was a monetary trade for services and things like that. It wasn't, and then like I found things I like to do, so it was fun to share that, I guess. But I didn't think like I was helping people, because that wasn't really, now like when I help people, because I give them like advice, because I actually know like how people can do things to get ahead. It's like, yeah, that's probably like really rewarding, like, and then seeing like that work, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even like with my wife, like if she needs a contract, she'll ask me to write it, or at least like she'll write it and I'll go through and make sure it's got all the details it needs, or all that. And like the important thing is that like the people I help are motivated, or like, then if somebody like ignores my help, like, or my advice, it's more like, I don't want to help. You know what I mean? Because like, I don't know, I give people like full out plans, things they do.
Mm-hmm. Is there like, how do I describe that? Like you said, if someone doesn't follow your advice, is there something like a little disappointment in that? Or even more than a little, maybe?
Of disappointment?
Yes.
It would really depend. Like, so like in construction, it showed a lot. Like if somebody, like, because you know, when you're building your company and you have like friends and you want them to use your services, but then they kind of use somebody else, that would kind of bother me. But other than that, it's more or less just like, if you don't listen, I don't want to share the information, because I have other things to do in a way. Like, you know, I'm not going to share it with somebody who's not going to listen. And you know, at the same time, like, I put up with my family. You know, it's not like I'm always going to give them advice, but like, they don't listen. But it's just, I don't know, like I said, I have a good relationship with my family. So it's, but like, I'm talking about like, anyone outside of that. Yeah, it's, I don't want to, if they're motivated, they're probably going to motivate me in a way. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if you're motivated, then I'm definitely willing to help you, because this could be fun, or it can lead to something like whatever you're trying to lead to. And it's also like challenging sometimes, because people are usually coming up with good things they want to do. Like this kid is like starting his own company now, his own landscaping company, and I kind of talked to him about like what he should be working on and things like that. Or like if he gets a new job he doesn't know how to do, he'll come to me and I'll kind of even write up a contract for him, so he's not getting like, making sure he doesn't have to go through everything that I had to learn, you know, kind of. So.
Mm-hmm. Are there any causes you feel strongly about?
Causes?
Yes.
Not really, no. I mean, I know, because it's more like, there's no specific individual cause, I wouldn't say. It's more like on like, maybe like on a worldview level, kind of. But like, if you want to narrow that down to a cause, it's like I really like cryptocurrency, kind of, because I always enjoyed the idea of bartering. I think that's such a better way of like transactional value is through bartering. So I found this new cryptocurrency like 3 years ago, and when it only had like a few miners, and now it's at like 30 million, and it's not even on the market yet, but it has 30 million pioneers on the phone and stuff. So I kind of made that like a cause, but like it was more like, it's still like, we're called pioneers, and I'm still on that boat, kind of. But so I'll like post things about it, like, hey, you know, like this is going to change, and it really can like change the world. It's going to redistribute wealth if you have 30 million people using it to actually make purchases, you know what I mean? So that's kind of like a cause I would get on for. When I see like, when I learn something, if it seems like something worth like sharing, I want to share it, kind of. But it's not like one thing since I was like a little kid that I've always had a cause for, like something that like I'm fighting for, really. More just like clear thought, I would say. Like I like to make sure that that's like I'm learning a lot, like, and I think, and that's like, if I did have a cause, it would like make sure people learn what they want to learn and how they want to learn it and things like that, you know, because I think that's important.
I want to know the flow question. It feels like if there's something about it being incomplete for me. I want to hear, like, is there any other things that you feel like get you into, like, where you forget about yourself, or where you forget about time, where you realize, oh my God, 3 hours, 5 hours have passed and I completely lost myself in it? I mean, you already talked about it, but I'm just wondering if there's anything else that comes to mind.
You know what actually is like conversation. I mean, like I don't know what time it is right now because we've been like talking, but like I even did a podcast for a little while, and like at the end of that I would be like in a daze because I would be so like into that like podcast kind of thing and like all the conversation and all that. And it was like, that's why I started. I was like, oh, I want to get better at conversating. And then it was like, we would podcast for like hours and not even realize what time it was, you know? So that was, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's almost like, as long as there's as long as I know what I want to accomplish, kind of, I can find flow getting to that, like kind of. And it's just, so that's why I think like having a project is like a nice way for me to maintain flow, because it's like I have this goal, kind of, you know. And then like building, I don't know, I don't know, because like I've experienced runner's high once, and that's like a different kind of flow, like, you know what I mean? Like,
sorry, what was that? You experienced what once? I missed
a
that.
runner's high once. Like,
oh,
you know,
yeah, I didn't, the
for,
word just cut out. Yeah, a runner's high, yes.
and that's just so different than what I consider to be like flow. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's like I don't know, you almost feel like you're filled with that and you feel taller almost, but like, so I get that flow, but then it's like, what I think of as flow is like, it's like long-term kind of, in a way. It's because then once you're done with it, like you collapse. Like it's like I said, the flow is the wave, and then like you collapse, and it's like then you're not in flow anymore, which is a complete opposite state in a way, and that's okay too. You know what I mean? Because that's a almost like a recovery period in a way, I would say.
Oh, no, I lost what I wanted to follow up on. It will come back. Oh yeah, how easy is it for you to just sit and do nothing?
So I can't meditate I can't do that. But that's because that's different, but like, yeah, like I'm pretty good at it. Like, what is like, do you mean like, because I mean, I can sit and listen to a pod, like, or do you mean nothing? Or like listen to a podcast? Because like, honestly, like listening to a podcast I can do and do nothing. But like, that's the thing. I don't think I've ever really tried to force myself to sit and do nothing either. Like, if I did, I would have a better answer, I guess. But like, I don't know. It's like if I was listening to a podcast, I would probably and it was just sitting still, I probably would just find something else to do. Because like, I mean, I have other things to do too. You know, my podcasts are usually saved for a specific time, like driving. But I've, you know, when I wrestled, actually, the coach had us like do these like things where we would sit still for a long time afterwards, and he would like do kind of like a guided meditation kind of thing. I could sit still for that, but I'd fall asleep.
Now I lost it again, but in 5 seconds it will be here. I was interested in the why. You said you can't meditate. Why do you think you can't? Like, what is happening when you imagine doing it? Like this, it's just too much to do.
No, like, you know how I said I like the way the flow to maintain. If I did meditate, like I would lose that like for a long time. Like I've done it like not even like it would be like a day or two almost. That like I don't know, it's like it would put me in a weird state. It would just, and I don't know. I've done it like once, and I've always said it. I said like I don't like to meditate. It's I don't mind doing like a guided hypnosis or anything. And I've done a hypnosis. I got hypnotized for 3 hours last year, and I was hypnotized the whole time and no problem or anything like that. But like a meditation itself, but that was like I was speaking. With a meditation, you're not speaking. You're really trying to. I don't want to throw my thoughts away. Yeah, it's really what it is, because like you feel dumb afterwards. Like I literally feel dumb after I meditate. And like that's what my flow is. That's what I was saying. Like it's like I'm building up on those thoughts, and if I get rid of those, there's no flow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. How important is an adrenaline rush for you?
I actually like can control them. Like I can like make it because of wrestling. Like I can temper myself really good, and like I don't really get fight or flight that much or anything. And like I used to even like twitch a little bit, but like now because of like it's like really wrestling kind of makes you kind of like calm down. I don't really get like that. I can like if I felt something like an adrenaline rush coming on, I can quickly like breathe and stop it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wrote down drifting. That was just at the beginning of the session. There must have been a reason. Like I only write down when something interests me. Like I want to know. Like yeah, I think it was like connected to life paths. And yeah, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about that. Like what is the drifting energy? If you remember in what context you said that. I think it was around like when at the
Oh, I think
beginning you described the different flow states, like there are many things that
yeah, I
get
was
you
like
into that.
yeah, and I think when I was saying I was drifting, wasn't that when because like more like in my like right after high school kind of it was more like um I went to college and dropped out and I didn't know what I was gonna do really. So yeah, so I was kind of just really at that point I was just like doing nothing. Like, it was like that. That was kind of what I mean. Like maybe I went to work a little bit, but like I wasn't like building a life or anything like that, you know. And I think like what my wave was wrestling before that, and like in a way, like because like I wrestled year round, even like in the off season, I would go out of states and stuff to like do that. Like it wasn't always just for high school or anything. And then like once I was out of high school, like that was another collapse, and I had to like kind of I didn't think really about what I was gonna do after high school during high school. I did it after I realized, okay, it's now I can I don't know, I was my friend went to school and I was like, okay, I'll just go with you. Like, like he was like, I'm going, and I was like, okay, well, I need to do something, and we're hanging out every day, not doing anything. So I guess I'm gonna end up in school, and yeah, I ended up in school for automotive, and then something similar happened again later on with horticulture, and just I don't know when something. Yeah, I like to go to school. That's actually like I definitely find flow in school. Like I really do. Like I join clubs and stuff because like like you talk about like interesting things. You know what I mean? Like honestly, most places I go, I don't talk to like about anything I like to talk about because it's kind of like it's either plants or psychology or engines or like something, you know what I mean? Like it's like computers or programming or are we going to get nuked or anything like that, and no one wants to talk about those things.
Cool. Now I lost it again. Yeah, this time I really lost it, I think. Where were we? School. Yeah, I
You
think I
can
was.
cut me off. You get it back. You get it back. Cut me off and let me know. That's cool.
Yes, school, learning. Huh. Maybe this time it won't come back, but I have a few more. Skipping over the details, I want to know how you are with details like tech stuff, admin stuff. Is that something? I mean, you already talked about repetitive things not being that like fulfilling to do. So yeah, I want to know.
I'll give you this. Okay, so like the exact thing is, I like to know all the details. I don't like to do. Like really, no. Like so, we use this.
You cut out, but
Notion.
I think you said, yeah, Notion. Yeah, I've heard about it. Yes.
So basically, I downloaded it and I learned how to use it, and I know, and it's not much different than anything else if you know like basic computers and stuff. So then I had my staff download it, and they make all the forms, but like if they get stuck, they come to me, and I pretty much know how to use it, like for them, like and get them out of the mess. But I would never finish it if I actually went and did a project on there.
What do you mean? Like you like start? What do you mean by
Yeah,
that?
yeah, like that's like, yeah, I wouldn't have the attention span to put all those details in there, kind of. Like I just, yeah, it's like I ended up delegating it because it was there's somebody better at it. It's the truth. It's and like no, like and I probably know the system better. That's the truth, but they're better at using it. Like that's kind of where we go with that. And yeah.
So is there also something about setting up a system that is more fulfilling than, I mean, that's basically what you said, I think. Like setting up something is easier than continuously using it.
Yeah, and that's yeah, pretty much, and that's why that's why I like projects because it's setting it up, and then like halfway through, I don't want to be here anymore because we know where it's going, you know. And like there are people who really do want that part, you know, and that's what I noticed, and that's kind of why I like. Yeah.
Do you ever see the systems you set up as a piece of art?
As a what?
As a piece of art.
No, I don't. No, it's not art.
Cool. That's all my notes. I wonder if there's anything we haven't talked about that is like that would be good for me to know. Can be like like things in your life that are important to you, or yeah, can be just about anything. Like
What else? Okay, yeah. One thing is because I always say this is like so a lot of the things that I put out about like having good parents, you know what I mean, is like because I had good parents and I see like a lot of people who didn't. Again, I think that's like really like when I get type, like that's one thing I think about, because like my dad was like at every single like practice and football game and like didn't miss one, like, and other parents didn't even go to these things, you know what I mean? Like, and then my parents opened a business and made me work. So like when I like, so like that's pretty much like the one thing, like when I, again, why I have trouble typing myself is because I just know that like a lot of people weren't raised like that, and like a lot of typology is about healing, and I know like that's not so much where I am, you know what I mean? So I don't know, that's about it.
Cool. Yeah, I think I'm 90% confident. There's 10% or 9.5% chance for the other type. It's a very common it's very common for me to be between those two. So yeah, I will need to rewatch this and come up with a few good questions in the second session. And then we can talk about your type in the second session.
Okay. And so when is the second session?
Yes, let me just stop the recording.